So, I'm sure we've all seen the movie Ready Player One by now, but for those who haven't, it's essentially a semi-dystopian sci-fi fantasy film whose premise centers around a futuristic world in which virtual reality has become so incredibly advanced that it is essentially indistinguishable from reality. The consequences of such technology is that in this world, human beings almost live exclusively in the virtual reality environment known as the OASIS. Now, this virtual world has amazing benefits. You can do and be whatever and whoever you want. The variety and entertainment is limitless, but what about the consequences of such a reality? Being plugged into a machine nearly 24/7 must certainly have some drawbacks for human socialization and civilization as a whole, right? Well, today we're going to explore just how far away from such a reality we are. And spoiler alert, we're a lot closer than some of you may think. We're also going to be diving into the evolution of video game graphics and the rise of virtual reality, and how gaming advancements are bringing us closer to a hyper-realistic, immersive, and potentially dystopian futuristic world. Our journey begins with the humble origins of video game graphics. In the early days, games like Pong and Space Invaders were considered groundbreaking and innovative, incorporating pixel-based art to display relatively simple and basic patterns and movements. However, today any 6-year-old with a computer and access to ChatGPT could create a better and more visually dynamic game just with the press of a few keystrokes. As technology advanced, we moved into the 16-bit and 32-bit eras with consoles like the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis bringing more detailed and colorful graphics. The lead to 3D graphics with the PlayStation and Nintendo 64 was a game changer, allowing for more immersive experiences. Now, as we fast forward to the modern era, we have hyper-realistic graphics in games like The Last of Us Part 2 and Cyberpunk 2077, not to mention the recent release of the FPS game Body Cam, which is being touted as the most realistic FPS game ever. There are times when playing that game when you have to remind yourself that what you're looking at is in fact computer-generated imagery and not reality. Key technological advancements such as motion capture and real-time ray tracing have pushed the boundaries of what's possible in video game graphics. And then virtual reality comes along, promising the most immersive gaming experience to date. And virtual reality is something that has been commonplace in sci-fi films for decades, but now, finally, it's here. In the early days of VR, the graphics were quite basic and rudimentary, but VR has come a long way since its early experiments. The first consumer headsets like the Oculus Rift opened up new possibilities for immersive gaming experiences. Today, VR technology has advanced significantly with high-resolution displays, haptic feedback, and motion tracking bringing us ever so much closer to hyperrealism. Hyperrealism in VR is becoming a reality, but there are still challenges to overcome, such as truly achieving high-resolution graphics indistinguishable from reality that update in real time, as well as accurate and realistic haptic feedback. But it's not a matter of if anymore. It's a matter of when. Now, back to Ready Player One. We see a hyper-realistic VR world called the OASIS. The OASIS is a massive, immersive virtual world where people can interact, play games, explore, and even conduct business. You can socially interact with people from around the world. It has its own currency and economic systems. It even has educational institutions within the VR world. But how does this compare to our current VR tech? While we have made significant strides, there are still notable differences. For example, the OASIS headsets beam low-power lasers directly onto the user's retinas, while real-life headsets use stereoscopic displays. Ready Player One features advanced haptic gloves and full-body suits that simulate touch, pressure, pleasure, and even pain, making virtual objects feel almost indistinguishable from real ones, whilst current VR systems have basic haptic feedback through controllers and gloves, providing vibrations and simple tactile sensations. Full-body haptic suits are in development, but are not yet widely available or as advanced. And then there's the movement. Users can move freely in the virtual world using complicated harnesses and treadmills that simulate real-life movement, whereas in modern VR, movement is typically limited to the space available in the user's physical environment. Some systems use room-scale tracking, but full locomotion solutions like omnidirectional treadmills are still in the experimental stage. Now, I can go on about the differences, but what about the similarities? Well, for starters, both the OASIS and modern VR offer highly immersive virtual worlds where users can explore, interact, and engage in various activities. They both facilitate extensive social interaction, allowing users to meet, communicate, and collaborate in virtual spaces. They both allow extensive extensive customization options where players can customize their avatars and virtual spaces to reflect their personalities and preferences. And then there's gaming and entertainment. Both the OASIS and modern VR feature a wide range of games and entertainment options, from traditional video games to complex virtual experiences. So, how far are we from actually living in a semi-dystopian world like in Ready Player One? Or perhaps the more important question, what about the societal implications? Could we face issues similar to those in Ready Player One, such as escapism and inequality? Well, experts have varying opinions on the future of VR and its potential impact on society. Some are quite pessimistic on the future, whilst others hold a more optimistic tone about its implementation. Which brings me to the concept of the singularity. That's the point at which artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence and can improve itself autonomously. How does this relate to our VR future? If AI continues to advance, it could lead to even more sophisticated and immersive VR experiences, potentially blurring the lines between reality and virtual worlds even further. The growth of technology is exponential, improving at an increasingly more rapid rate. And now with AI implementation, it's moving forward at a pace beyond our control. We couldn't stop the advancement even if we wanted to. Some consequences of this include the automation of countless jobs, leading to the displacement and economic inequality of copious amounts of people. Then there's the growth in the economic divide between those who have access to these technologies, which essentially makes you superhuman compared to those who don't. Then there's a potential privacy violations, as personal data is often collected, analyzed, and used without individuals' explicit consent. And as technology becomes more integrated into our daily lives, the potential for cyber attacks increases. In fact, as I'm writing this, there is a totally unprecedented global IT outage causing mass chaos and havoc around the world. So why am I saying all this? Well, I'm not trying to be Mr. Pessimistic, doom and gloom man. What I'm trying to do is help inform people and advise them of the potential consequences that could be coming down the pipeline very soon, so that they can take preventative measures to protect themselves and their families. You know, I'm reminded of the story of Pinocchio. In the story, young Pinocchio is lured away by a malevolent fox character to a land called Pleasure Island, which promises all pleasure and no responsibility. Ultimately, what initially seemed like an amazing place quickly turned into an inescapable hell. And that is how I view the modern advancements in technology. Once Pandora's box is open, it cannot be closed. So stay vigilant and be sure that you don't get sucked into the abyss. In conclusion, while we are making incredible strides in video game graphics and VR technology, we still have a way to go before reaching a Ready Player One reality. The journey from pixels to hyperrealism is ongoing, and the potential societal impacts are worth considering. But I want to know what you think. How close do you think we are to living in a world like Ready Player One? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more in-depth gaming content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.